What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today it's finally here. Day one of the 2022 Chicago Bears training camp has started. The practice is over, and we got lots of things to talk about today. On today's agenda was a 18 minutes no pad practice with a lot of one-on-ones and a team period as well that we're going to talk about as well. Lots of players, lots of news. So let's get right into it. And I mean, right off the bat, I can't tell you guys how excited I am. Bears football is finally and officially back. Training camp is a very exciting time of the year. You finally see the players back on the field again and just get all these interesting news. So I can't wait to break down what day one delivered. And believe me, guys, it was very interesting and a lot of good stuff happened. Today's practice was very intensive and high-powered, which was kind of expected by Coach Eberflus. He's a player that stands for coaching his players hard and just made them hustle and all these kinds of things. So that was expected, but also nice to see that the training kind of intensified and it's being treated very serious, which is great as well. Also, what is new to Bears training camp, players got their names now, their last names on their jersey. That's something new. And also tight ends, O-line, D-line, the trenches practice with extra padded helmets, which is great as well, just for extra protection because you don't want to hurt your players. So with now that being out of the way, let's get right into it and start talking about the offense today. And starting with the offense, we first obviously have to talk about Justin Fields. And I have to say, honestly, I read a lot of reports, and obviously I don't have access to training camp or practice by myself. And I didn't see a lot of news about Justin Fields today, so no big news about him. That's nothing bad. That's nothing great. I mean, it's just he did his job probably. But there hasn't been any big reports. And also, it's day one. They kind of slowly get everybody going. So there's not a lot to report about Justin Fields. I'm still excited to see some videotape coming out. That will probably be more the case with tomorrow. I think tomorrow is the first open practice as well. But I mean, for now, that's all we have on Justin. Not a lot of news, but that is nothing bad. As for the skill positions, we have some things to report about, and one player in specific, Velus Jones Jr. Velus, the third-round pick this year out of Tennessee, showed out in one-on-ones, and by reports got Kyler Gordon on a play for a wide-open touchdown, and the wording was that he broke his ankles. So that's obviously nice to see because one of my biggest problems or concerns with Velus Jones Jr. and his transition to the NFL was his route running. He had a kind of limited route tree, and seeing him already putting in the work and putting some cornerbacks on skates and just flying by them and showing crisp cuts, which was reported as well. So that's obviously great to see already. I think Velus Jones has a promising future, and he already at day one showed out with a nice touchdown. So that's something I love to see. And also, I want to talk about N'Keal Harry real quick. He spoke to the media today as well, and he seems very confident, is happy that he's a Chicago Bear, and just happy that he got a new opportunity to play football again, something away from the Patriots. So that's great to see as well. Maybe a motivated and confident N'Keal Harry can become a very crucial part to this Bears offense in 2022. So that was nice to see as well. So now moving on to the offensive line, and that's probably one of the biggest storylines of today. The offensive line had a lot of rotation going on today. Riley Reiff and Michael Schofield both already participated at practice. They both had a lower intensity, which was expected because you just need to bring them up to speed. They were free agents. You don't know how they prepared for their next team. So they were just slowly being integrated into the team, into practice. As for the team period, we had some interesting starters that were the same starters that were at OTAs. So we got Braxton Jones at left tackle, Cody Whitehair at left guard, Lucas Patrick, center, Mustafa at right guard, which is concerning, but at the end of the day, Michael Schofield will take over that spot. It's inevitable for me. The only way I see that not happening is if Schofield actually gets hurt in some kind of way. And then right tackle is Larry Borum. Tevin Jenkins split reps with Borum, but for the team phase, like I said, Borum was the main starter with the first team. Reiff rotated in at times at left tackle, but in the team period, Braxton Jones took over, which was expected, but Reef and Schofield will take over soon. That's what I'm expecting. So with that being said, for the offense, it was kind of a quiet day. Not a lot of information was given out. So I'm excited to see what the next couple of days bring. I think the offensive line battle is something that we definitely have to keep a close eye on because there's a lot of rotation going on. So I will definitely keep you updated on that. And with that being said, let's actually move on to the defense. And with the defense today, we got some big news. First of all, Robert Quinn is back. Robert Quinn actually reported to training camp yesterday, I think, and was at Hallis Hall. But I mean, it's still great news to see him back on the practice field with the jersey. Quinn on the back of his jersey, number 94, back on the field. And the reports about him were that he looked very sharp and fast. He said that he did not participate in OTAs because he just wanted to get his body right because he's in his 12th season now. That was his excuse for that. And in the presser, he also said, quote, "I've been traded twice. You get tired of moving. I expect to be here." And that was one of the bigger storylines of today because Robert Quinn with that kind of said that he is going to be a Bear in 2022. Obviously, those are just things that he said in a press conference. But I mean, I kind of see that kind of a fact as well because I mean, you're moving a lot. You have family now. So staying in Chicago is probably an option for him, and I would absolutely love that. I mean, I said in an earlier video that it would be okay with that I would be okay with training him, which is just good because we get some draft capital and Travis Gibson gets a chance to shine. But I mean, with Robert Quinn, it gets way easier. You now got your single season sec record holder for your franchise back in the building that can help the young and upcoming edge rusher Travis Gibson to develop. So that's obviously great having him back, and I was just happy seeing some picture of him. As for the linebackers, Roquan Smith is, per reports, at Hallis Hall and participating in the meetings, which is great, but he's not practicing. He was actually put on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list. And according to Velus, that's due to his physical. He kind of has an injury per his reports. We don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, I just hope that he gets his contract extension. I don't see that being a big problem with Roquan. I think he is actually going to be healthy, no doubt, come start of the season. It's just a contract situation at the moment that is giving the Bears some problems, but I think they will figure it out. It was also confirmed that Roquan will be the weak side linebacker in that 4-3 defense of Matt Eberflus. That's some great news. It's a position where the linebacker can fly around all over the field and can make tackles. And I think, like Darius or now Shaq Leonard, Roquan Smith will absolutely succeed in that role. Morrow takes over the Mike role then. And also today, with Roquan Smith being absent, Mike Adams, who the Bears got from the Colts, who was a player under Eberflus there, started next to Morrow today, which is kind of interesting as well. Hopefully that's not the long-term option because he's not that experienced actually playing, but still, just wanted to give you that information as well. As for the cornerback position, we got some interesting news as well. Kyler Gordon took snaps at outside corner opposite of Jalen Johnson, but surprisingly at nickel as well. Just showing that he is dynamic, and he got beat on Velus during the one-on-one period. That touchdown that Velus Jones Jr. scored. Kyler Gordon got beat by that, but that's nothing big. I mean, plays happen. He gives him one, then Kyler got him on the next play. That's just something that happens. That's nothing too serious, obviously, especially on one-on-ones. But it's interesting to see that Kyler took both snaps, but obviously I want to see him at outside corner next to Jalen Johnson. And then also got some news about the nickel battle. I talked about that in my video 5 headlines going into training camp, and it looks like Tavon Young has the head start and started today at nickel with the first team. That's something I expected as well, but still Duke Shelley is there, Thomas Graham Jr., so it will be interesting, but I like that Tavon is starting and looking good. As for the safeties today, Jaquan Brisker actually showed out. He just signed his rookie deal, so he is now officially a Chicago Bear, which is great. And he got an interception on one-on-ones today. I don't know who he picked, which quarterback, and on which wide receiver or tight end he made the play, but his playmaking ability already shows up, which is great. And I'm so excited to see Jaquan Brisker play for the Bears. He's just amazing, and I mean, it will be good. So, finishing off the defense, we will move to special teams. And with special teams today, it's kind of interesting because 4 players took returns at punt today: Velus Jones Jr., Dante Pettis, Chris Fink, and Eddie Jackson. No reports about Eddie Jackson at safety today, but he actually returned some punts, which he did at Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, he was a flashy returner. He was not bad at that. Obviously, Velus Jones Jr. was expected. He's a specialist at that. I think he has definitely the upper hand of being the guy there. But also, Dante Pettis had some good experience there. I can't say a lot about Chris Fink, honestly. One thing that was kind of surprising to me at special teams was that no Treston Ebner was there or was put back there, because he did that in college a lot as well. And I mean, special teams is a great opportunity for rookies to integrate them into a team early on. But I mean, he's a 6th-round pick. He potentially still will have an impact on offense kind of as well. And it's just day one, so let's see how that develops. And also on Trenton Gill, our new punter, he looked pretty good per reports, but nothing more on that as well. So with that being said, guys, in conclusion, I think it was a pretty good day one. We got Robert Quinn back, some news on Roquan Smith, the nickel battle, the cornerback position, the offensive line. A lot of stuff is happening. The training is intensive per reports, so I'm excited what the next couple of days will bring. Training camp now officially has begun. Day one is over, and I mean, it's just an interesting and exciting time of the year. So that wraps up the episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram if you want to as well. Stay tuned for the next couple of days for more training camp update videos. And as always, guys, bear down.